Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Practitioner Tuesday Training, where we meet every week to talk client shop as body workers, manual and movement practitioners alike are here to talk about all the ways that we get to thrive and succeed in our practices working with clients. I'm your host for the hour, Gina Schatz. I am very happy to have so many new people here. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, as I said, for the hour, and I am going to teach you everything that I know, everything that I've been through. We're currently in the month of money, Money May, we're calling it, and we're moving through a few professional development practices that I have shared only otherwise with my mastery practitioners in our mastery program. We're in that season of the year because we enroll once a year. So we're getting ready to start our new pod July 1st. And in that year training, we also do some professional development because I believe it's really important for us to not only be excellent at what we do, but to be able to recoup our tuition back and make back everything that we've invested and then add more value and keep the wheel keeps spinning in that way, value for value, as we say on day one. So for May, here on Tuesday Training, we've been rolling back the curtain a bit on some professional development, and we're focused on money. And we're going to talk today about a money block that you might not even know is there. And I'm going to workshop with you how to get to the clarity on that. And we're going to actually do some workshopping. So please, just like last week, have a pen and paper nearby so that you can do the workshopping and get the value from the unveiling, if you will. I promise you it won't hurt. And some of us, nobody really likes to look at the parts of themselves that they wish weren't there. And so I have so much compassion for you because I don't either, and yet I do it on a daily basis. I find that it's really valuable for us to remember that we're in an evolutionary atmosphere, right? The universe is constantly evolving, and we are a huge and important necessary piece of the universe, which means that we also get to be evolving, which is not the same as always looking at your shit and doing deep dives into psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. That's literally the opposite. That's burrowing down and maybe even going backwards. I'm not here for that. I'm here for look at what's tripping me up on my current that's keeping me from getting where I'm going. And so that I'm doing every day, and I invite you to do that with me. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a little bit of that, like what could be in the way that I didn't see was there. Well, I had my eyes up on the horizon. I didn't realize I was tripping over some things and like holding myself back. I also like to think about it as, one of those moving sidewalks in the airport. Like, oh, I didn't realize that I was on a sidewalk that was moving backwards while I was walking, and I'm just feeling like I'm taking all the steps, but I haven't really gotten to the gate yet. I'm not ready to take off. So let's get on the jets today and let's soar out into the universe. Gary, you're laughing. I'm happy that you're finding some levity here because sometimes this topic can feel not light and it gets to be light, right? We just get to like look at it, laugh at it, love ourselves a little bit, and then transform it and move on. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share with you a writing process that I adopted. A beautiful image, you say, Gary. Oh, good. Which one? The airport? Taking off. Okay, great. Okay, good. I'm looking for the live guys here on YouTube because I know that there's many of you that follow along live each week, and it's just not quite populating on my device yet, but I hope that you're here and feeling welcomed. Also, please feel free to use the chat feature. Gary's using it here in the club seats, but also feel free to use the chat feature and while we're here live because I will see it as soon as it populates on my device. I'm doing two things. I got a new monitor over the weekend, and I was very excited about it. I was like, oh, good. I'm gonna have a monitor over here and a monitor over here, and then I'll be able to see everybody. Yeah, I don't know how to set the thing up. It's sitting right there. I'm staring at it. It's not even plugged in. I don't know how to freaking do it. I feel like I took myself for a walk. I kind of frustrated. I was like, damn it. Like I wanted to, evolve. I wanted to like evolve into this tech thing that I wanted to be. And I got a little frustrated. I took myself out for a walk. It was a beautiful sunny weekend. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to walk this off. And what I realized when I came back in was this other conversation I had. live this weekend about AI. I'd taken some training over the weekend and they were talking about, you gotta like change what you're doing. And because if you're working online, you need to know about AI. And I've been an eye roll about that up until now. So as I came back from my walk after my frustration about my monitor that's not hooked up, I realized I could look for instructions online now because that is one thing that my friends are doing. And they're looking, they're asking AI, how do I change the oil in my car? How do I set up computer monitors? How do I? Not my zone of genius, guys. Not my zone. Gary, you got something? You can come off mute if you want. You don't have to type me love letters, but I love the love letters, but you can just talk to me. Hi, Simon. Hi, Lana. Glad you guys are here. What do you got, Gary? AI is helpful, you say, Gary. Okay. So helpful. Okay. Well, I'm a little daunted by the whole thing, but that's okay. But here's what I do know. I'll get over being daunted by it. And my zone of genius is what I know is where my value add is. So my value add is not on looking things up on AI. My value add is sharing with you guys everything that I know up until now about successful client work. And so that's what you guys want from me, and that's what I'm going to give you. I'm not going to give you a tutorial on whether you should or shouldn't use AI because I don't freaking know. I don't know how to set up my laptop monitor either. But I do know the things I love to talk about. That's why I sound like I know them. So I want that for you guys as well, to sound like an authority on the things that you love. We talk a lot in my community about messaging. Messaging means lots of things. It means effective communication. It means even better listening. We've had some trainings here on listening so that you can hear what's coming in the subjective intake of your client work. Effective messaging also means speaking in benefits to your client instead of in features and to-dos. We've talked about that on Tuesday training as well. And messaging is also I'm now including, messaging is also what we're also telling ourselves in our brain. What message are you telling yourself about the thing that you're thinking? And you want to, I know you do, you want to be in service, you want to provide great value, you want to be satisfied with the work that you do, you want to be paid well, you want your clients to leave refreshed and like it was worth their time and their money to be with you. And so you get to tell yourself a story, a message that equates to all the things that you want. Remember last week in Tuesday training when we talked about what's the vision? Where are you going? Like what are you setting your sights for? You get to do the same thing with your thought process. So if your thought process is, this is what I want, but oh my gosh, I'm not good at it. This is what I want, but oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. This is what I want, but here's the 5 times it didn't work before. If you're doing that in your own mind, you're pulling yourselves, I call it on opposite ends of an engine, like there's two engines running on a train and you're feeling very busy working, getting nowhere. So one of the things that we want to do is like bring to light what are those mixed messages? And I say mixed because we're saying we want one thing, but we're talking smack to ourselves in the next thought. And if we don't know what the thoughts are that we're even having, how can we write the new story? We can't erase the one, catch the one, and reframe it if we don't give ourselves a chance to look at what that is. So that's what we're going to workshop today, and it's really valuable to do that. I'm going to preface this by offering that there's nothing wrong with what you're thinking, unless you think it's wrong, and then you're the thinker that it's wrong. So it's a little bit of an interesting brain tease that happens there, right? Simon says AI is as smart as the programmers. Yes, that program the AI. Exactly, Simon. We are the programmers. So what program are we running? You are the only thinker in your universe. You are the only one thinking the things that you're thinking. If you're having a reaction to someone because you think that they blah, 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 you're the thinker about their blah, blah, blah. If you are unhappy because the state of the world is what it is, you're thinking that the state of the world is what it is. But Gina, I have evidence. Okay, then you're sure about your evidence and you are fixed on that opinion about that evidence. So being fixed on something is a separate issue. I talk about that in my leadership training, which I offer also once a week. Right now, today, we just want to get clear on what are we even thinking? What's the gerbil going on up there? And here's some real math for you and why I believe that we don't get to call ourselves wrong for what we're thinking, because then you're thinking that you're wrong for thinking. Okay, that's not going to get you out of that puzzle. But here's some interesting math. There are three parts of our brain. One of them is the subconscious brain. It happens to be the largest part of the brain. For those of you who are doing the Money Bootcamp inside the club, you've already heard about this because Chris, who I co-taught that bootcamp with, walked us through the three types of the brain. She's a mental health provider. That's her jam. So she talked us through that with lots of clarity and visual images. And if you want to know more about this, then you will finish the course. You'll finish it before the end of the month. If you're learning it for the first time, just trust me. I'm not going to give you as much scientific background in the time that we have here today, but there are three parts of your brain, and it's not voodoo, it's not magic science, it's real. We have a conscious brain. I'm going to be at Tuesday training at noon Eastern on Tuesdays. That's a conscious brain telling me I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to go to bed at whatever time I'm going to go to bed. Conscious brain, very small, but it's where we spend most of our attention. The largest part of our brain is the subconscious, largest part of the brain, and it is wired just like the rest of the brain on neuroplasticity, on patterns. It repeats things and repeats them and repeats them. I sent you guys a newsletter yesterday that talked about this. There's one part of that subconscious brain, the limbic system, which attaches emotion even to the patterns. So how you feel about the thing that you've experienced over and over again, or done over and over again, or resisted over and over again. There's a feeling that goes with it. It's literally intrinsically wrapped in our brain. The math on the subconscious brain that I want to land here for us so that we are not mad at ourselves and in judgment about what we're thinking is that we are in this automatic process that is the way our brain is wired. And I'm not going to be upset about the way my brain is wired any differently than I would be upset at the way my heart beats blood. Not going to be upset about that. Not going to be upset about the way my brain works. Not going to be upset about the way my heart works. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be grateful. And my responsibility as the owner of those organs is to find out how they work and what they need from me to work well. Okay, here we go. The subconscious brain thinks on average 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Okay, we all know this. This is not news, but it's real. And 80% of those thoughts are repeated from yesterday because we have neuroplasticity and we repeat things. We repeat patterns, we repeat ideas, we repeat responses to things, even emotional outbursts. We repeat them, not because they're current or appropriate necessarily, but because they're wired in our brain. Okay, cool. So 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% of them are repeated from yesterday. And if you do the math on that, if we sleep and still think actively in a 24-hour day, on the low end of only 60,000 thoughts, we're thinking 40.6 thoughts per minute. Now, I am very, very tickled that I did the math on that because I'm not the biggest math guru in the room, but I can talk anatomy all day. But I needed to know this math to know how my anatomy and physiology works. So if it's true that we only think 60,000 thoughts a day, but the average is 60 to 80,000, and it's true that we think 24 hours a day, and I'm not sure if thinking changes when we're asleep or not, but let's just make the math the easiest, then it is true that with 60,000 thoughts a day, thinking 24 hours a day, that we are thinking 40.6 thoughts per minute. Now, I don't know about you, but I just spoke for about a minute and a half on that idea. And unless you captured 40.6 thoughts, most of your thoughts you were not consciously aware of. Because the math tells us that we think 40.6 thoughts per minute. But unless you can identify all 40, that means there's a whole bunch of stuff going on up here that you're not privy to. Now, some of that's actually good news. Like, I don't want to have to think about how to get myself up a flight of stairs every time I see one. I'd kind of like my brain to just go on recall and get me up there. Provided, of course, that you're walking with the optimal function and gait, which is a different training altogether. But if we just work with the math that 40.6 thoughts per minute are running every single minute of every single day, and 80% of them are repeated from yesterday, that means that I get to be really clear on what I'm thinking so that I know if I'm filling myself with a bunch of crap. If I'm thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking opposing thoughts all through the day, I'm going to be very tired and busy at the end of the day and not have produced what I want, like that vision that's on my heart to make happen. If I'm thinking and thinking and thinking opposing thoughts about what's possible for me and whether I deserve it, can create it, or will actually have it, I'm actually not getting to the creating and the having because I'm just in the opposing thoughts of it. I'm going to have it, I'm not going to have it. I'm going to have it, I'm not going to have it. I'm going to have it, I'm not going to have it. What do you think? How does the math work on that? You're still at home base. You haven't gotten to it. You haven't made it happen. Now, the 80% of thoughts that are repeated every day, the average of 80% of thoughts that are repeated every day. So again, not to confuse the math, the average adult thinks 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and approximately 80% of them are repeated from yesterday. That's a lot of thinking. That's a lot of 40.6 thoughts per minute, thoughts that I didn't even realize I'm repeating. Here's why that matters. The only way you can create a belief about something is by repeated thought. The only way you can create a belief about something is through repeated thought. And I heard this for a long, long time, and I was like, I don't know if that's true. Some things I just believe. And then it was taught to me like this, and it completely landed. So I'm sharing the love with you guys. In order for me to believe something with full conviction, I need to have time to repeat the thought about it before I have the belief. Here's the example that was taught to me. If I told you that there was only one religion and the religion was fill in the blanks, whatever religion, let's call it pumpernickel. If the only religion that was valuable and valid on the planet was the religion of pumpernickel, and I'm just making it up so that I don't call out a particular religion because it's not about the religion, guys. It's about the beliefs. If I tell you today, you guys, you come here every Tuesday and you train with me, and I'm telling you there's only one religion that makes the body work well. Would you believe that by the end of the time today? Would you convert? Would you convert to pumpernickel if I told you that that was the only religion that made the body work well? Would you convert even though you're expert practitioners and you want to be the best and you're here every week training with me to prove it because you want to be good and you want to be better than yesterday and you want to be better than last week and you're going somewhere and I told you you've got to convert your religion from whatever religion you're in. This is the religion you need to convert to because this is the one. How many of you would believe me just at that first idea? Yep, this is the religion and I'm going to convert. Anybody? No, I know the answer is no. And the reason why is because you would need to think about it for some time. The time is not the issue, it's the repetition of thoughts. You would need to think about that idea for a few times exactly, Simon. No, thank you. You would need to think about that many times before you believed it. And you would need more information. You would need me to say it differently. You would need me to talk about it with more emotion. You would need to go away and have some conflicting ideas. This idea, pumpernickel or my other religion or pumpernickel, you'd need to do this a little bit, which wouldn't convert you. It would just be the processing of it. And only in time would some of you adopt the belief to come with me to pumpernickel. You would need to repeat the thought to create a belief. Yes, I believe this is the way I should go, or the thought. No, I don't believe this is the way I should go. We don't make instant beliefs about something that we hold already. We don't even really make instant beliefs about new ideas. Our mirror neurons are like, what's the new idea again? What is that? What is that? Is that like is that like sourdough? What is that? I don't understand. You try to compare it before you even adopt the new idea. Thoughts have to percolate and repeat for a belief to be made. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The beliefs that we hold. The beliefs that we hold are what we use to propel ourselves forward, hold ourselves back, or angst over something. It's all about our beliefs about the thing. So, as we speak this month about money and earning a good living and a values-based practice, and these are all topics that we've covered this month. Whatever you landed with at the end of that training probably didn't stick unless you repeated whatever that practice was, unless you repeated the workshopping that I gave you, that you went over it and over it and over it. And in fact, you might have also experienced that you did buy into it while we were in training. And then after training was over, you kind of reverted back to the other way you used to think about the thing, because that one has more repetition in it. That thought has been ingrained neuroplastically to create a groove that we then identify as a belief about the thing. Well, Gina told me that there's four different money types, and I could absolutely identify with one of the money types. But then she told me that I needed to take a balancing action on it, and it sounded like a good idea. But you know, I didn't actually get to it. I'm good. I'm good. Because the subconscious isn't going to give up the goat easily and just convert over to the new way of doing the thing about money any more easily that you would convert from your current religion over to pumpernickel just because I told you in a class one day. Your beliefs about the thing are going to hold you in your belief pattern. But beliefs are only made by repetitive thoughts. It doesn't mean they're true. Beliefs are only made by repetitive thoughts. It doesn't mean they're true. Some beliefs are, some beliefs are not. Some beliefs are true and they lead us to choosing our values that we chose last week. Some beliefs are true and they lead us to the way we relate to money when it walks in the room. And some beliefs are not true and they also dictate the way we behave. And we mistakenly think that our behavior is the truth instead of the thought that created the belief that led to the action. You guys following this? This is big. I hope this is landing. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. When we, just so it's tangible, when we talked a few weeks ago about our relationship with money, and I shared with you guys that Lewis Howes taught when money walks into the room, imagine that it's a person and money walks into the room, how do you respond? And I told you guys that at first, when money walked into the room, I was like, hey, what do you need here? Like little bit like, what? On guardish. When I don't treat the people that I love that way. When the people that I love come into the room, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? You want to eat? Want to break some bread together? Tell me everything. So I didn't respond even in my imagination. I didn't respond to money that way when I first did this exercise the first time. I have since then, and I hope you guys have too, taken yourself through that exercise many, many times until money walks in the room and you're like, "Hey, what's going on? You want to have some bread?" Like you like interact with them the way you would someone that you love. But maybe you did and maybe you didn't. Here's the deal. Whatever I was thinking before that exercise about money is what led me to act that way, even in my imagination, when money walked in the room. Whatever I thought before about money being in the room is what led me to behave that way about money when it walked in the room. We don't make up our behaviors, guys. Our behaviors come from what we think. What we do in life comes from what we think. And you might be thinking, yeah, well, I don't know, Gina. I think when, you get startled about something, you get startled. Okay, sure, fine. But startling, some babies get startled and they laugh. Some babies get startled and they cry. What's the difference? The difference is the other processing that they've done in that space and in that environment before they got startled. That's what creates those responses. Talk to any child development person and they will tell you this. I studied that in school for a while, so I know just enough to be dangerous in conversation. So we might mistakenly think today as an adult that the reason I responded that way when money walked in the room, whatever your response was, the reason I responded that way is my truth. Well, I showed up that way. That must be what I believe. And I'm here to tell you that's backwards. And unless we are willing to even explore the idea that that's backwards, you will stay with two opposite engines on a train, pulling yourself into conflicting ideas. Because here's the equation. Write this down. Our thoughts create our beliefs. I think I've already explored that with you on the pumpernickel religion. And our beliefs dictate our actions. And I'm expressing that now with this analogy with money walking in the room. Thoughts create beliefs, which dictate our actions. And then the final step is whatever you think and believe and do is what your reality will look like. If you think that it's a good idea to clean out the garage and you believe that it will be a great idea for your family and your car and whatever else when you clean out the garage, and then you do the action of cleaning out the garage, you will then, poof, have a clean garage. You won't have a clean garage just by thinking about it. You won't have a clean garage by believing it's a great idea and taking no action on it. And you might have a clean garage by taking action on it, but if you don't know why you're bothering, if you don't have the conviction and the belief behind it, you might stop midway and not finish. So it's all of those elements in that order. Thoughts create beliefs, which dictate actions, and then you create from there. In that order. In that order. You don't believe in pumpernickel religion without thinking about it first. You don't go to pumpernickel church without believing it's a good idea. It's thoughts create beliefs, and then actions, and then results. It's always that. You guys believe me on this so far? Do you believe me? Have you thought enough about it that you believe me? Okay, great. If you're still on the fence about it, that's okay, because I understand that you got to think things first a few times before you create beliefs. I don't expect you to believe me just because I said it one time. Here's what's really interesting about that idea when you're messaging to your clients. Just because they came to you for 10 years weekly doesn't mean they're going to believe everything you say instantly. They also need to think about it. Now, maybe they're going to think about it and process it pretty quickly because they have 10 years of experience with you. But what if they're a new client? What if they're a new client and you're telling them everything opposite of the previous 6 practitioners they went to? Because you have high level expertise. I tell my Schatz method practitioners this all the time. You are going to get people who've been to 3 rounds of physical therapy. It's just the way it is. I did a live just last week, I think, on how this whole method came to be. A neurologist sent a patient to a head physical therapist who sent that same patient to me. Clearly, I needed to do something different than both the neurologist and the physical therapist to generate results. I knew that. I do something different than they do. That's what the Schatz method's about. Just because I know it works doesn't mean that that patient who went to the neurologist and then the physical therapist and then to me is going to be instantly on board with everything I tell them day 1, hour 1, let's go. No, they're going to be like, well, but the neurologist told me XYZ. And I already tried this thing with the physical therapist and this hurt and this made it better, but I didn't get enough of that and I got too much of that. And but then it helped, but then it didn't help. How do I know this is going to help? You hear your patients say that, your clients say that. How do I know this is going to help? They're asking that question because they have previous thoughts about it not helping. They're not going to believe you just because you say it one time. If we really want to be anatomy experts, we'll understand that this is how our brain works, and then we will speak accordingly, calmly, multiple times on the same idea with slightly different variations so that the person who's listening can actually take in what I'm saying. That's why I'm here with you all every week, saying the same stuff 5 years now, every week, right? Because I know that's how the brain works. It's not about I'm smarter and you're not smarter. It's that's how your brain works. If I really want to be in service to you, I will keep showing up and repeating myself. If you really want to be in service to your clients, you will keep showing up and repeating yourself from a strong base of knowledge that actually connects the dots for them. And if you want to be in service to yourself, you will show up for yourself with the same knowledge of anatomy and physiology. And you will keep taking yourself on and keep rewriting those thoughts and rewriting those thoughts and rewriting those thoughts until you have a new belief that creates different action that will then generate the results. If you've been a money type for a long period of time, a saver over and over and over and over again, and you're 10, 12 years into your career and you're like, damn it, I want to be an expert already, but I'm not going to pay for another program. Okay, well, then your thinking is holding you back from the actions and you're not going to have the thing that you say you want. I'm not saying buy every program, guys. There's a ton of them out there, or every course or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that. I've over purchased myself at times. But I am saying doing nothing is going to keep you getting the same results. You've got to do something different. And the action reinforces the belief, Gary says. Exactly. And that's the catch 22 that keeps us right there, anchored on that train track, very busy, eager, hungry, going nowhere. So we've got to rewrite our thoughts, guys. We've got to create beliefs that generate different actions so that the results of those actions can feed the new belief, not reinforce the existing belief. Just because we believe it doesn't mean it's true. We believe it because we thought it a million times, 40.6 times per minute to be exact. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to rewrite some beliefs. You're going to find out what you really believe about something and you're going to rewrite it. And I'm going to show you how easy that can be. The hardest part is the willingness. And then the next hardest part is the honesty about it. If you're willing and you're here to be honest with yourself, you don't have to tell me what your beliefs are, just tell yourself. If you're willing and you're honest, it's easy to rewrite a belief. And then all it takes after that is just repetition. I'm like, that's easy. I'll do anything once if it works and 100 times if it works great, right? Like I'll try it once and then keep going if I get good results. Unless my subconscious belief is that I can't actually have that result. So if I say, oh, I'll try it once and if it works, I'll do it 100 times. And then I have the evidence that it works and I stop doing the thing. I take this high level training and I stop actually implementing it. Why? Because there's a belief in there that is stronger than your updated skill set. And that belief is telling you you can't actually have those results. You've got the skill for it, but you can't actually have those results because your belief says you should be small, it should be hard, you shouldn't make a lot of money, you shouldn't be an authority, you shouldn't talk like that, people aren't gonna like you. You should serve everybody, not just some people. Like you're gonna talk yourself out of it because of your thinking that led to the beliefs that prevent you from having the new results. If there's anything in your life that you want right now that you have not created for yourself instantly, because that's how manifestation actually works. If you have not created it instantly, you are probably believing its opposite, or at least the reason why you can't have it. If you want it, it's available. It's just that simple. And I've had my own comeuppance on this too. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I mean, I've kind of been at this rodeo for a while. And every time I hear myself mumble that phrase, I've been at this rodeo for a while, I'm like, is that true? So then whatever the results are of this rodeo, you've just accepted them then. I haven't let myself even be open to a new idea. Okay, so I hope this is compelling enough. Hey, Val, I'm glad you're here too. So let's workshop it out, shall we? I would like you to think about something. This is for everybody. I'm not going to ask you what they are, so please be as honest and, dive deep, my friends. Think about something right now that you really, really want, that you've wanted for a while, and you haven't yet been able to create it. You want to reach a certain dollar amount. You want to have a certain number of clients. You want to not have to work weekends. You want to open your own practice. Let's make it be work related if you want to. I'm just throwing that out there because that's what we're here to talk about shop. But you can put literally anything down on this list. Something that you've wanted for some time that you haven't yet created. Just write down whatever that thing is. Okay. And now what I want you to write down, just take a few minutes here, just two. I'll stop talking for literally 2 minutes. So it'll be silence on the YouTube channel. I want you to write down for 2 minutes what you think about that thing that you haven't yet created. Just write down any thought that comes to mind. It's too hard. It's not possible. I'm a pipe dreamer. I tried and I failed. I have, whatever you're thinking about the thing that you want that you don't yet have. I want you for 2 minutes to just write down all of your thoughts about it and go. Okay. So whatever you wrote down is perfect. And now what you're going to do is look at all those thoughts about the thing that you want or desire. Look at the thoughts that you wrote down about that thing and see if you can find a common one, just one for now. There might be more than one, but see if you can find one belief that you have about that thing that's the strongest. So maybe you wrote down, oh, I tried and I failed, or my husband doesn't want me to have it, or it's not possible in the community where I live. If you wrote those three things down, the common thread between those three things is I don't believe I can have it. So what's the common thread of all the thoughts that you wrote down that you can synthesize into one belief? And we're just going to work with one belief right now. So identify one belief that those thoughts have culminated into. I can't have it. I'm not good enough. Um, it's not something that's reality bit driven. I'm out of my mind. So write down one belief. Okay, did you guys get it? We're gonna start the journaling now. You got your belief. Okay. And this belief ought to be something that feels true to you, but also you don't really love it, right? And the idea is that we have this thing that we desire, that we want. We have thoughts about why we don't have it yet. And now we've identified a belief about why we don't have it. And that should feel true and also not great, right? Like, I'm too old. I can't have it in the city where I live. Something that, like, well, I am the age that I am. My city demographic is what it is. Like, you feel right about it. Okay. And you don't love it, but you feel right about it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do some more journaling and some more workshopping. And this is very similar to the work of Byron Katie. So if any of you guys have done the work with Byron Katie, you'll recognize this as a version of what she does. I'm not saying I made it up. I'm actually giving credit to where credit's due. You all should do that on copywritten information. By the way, let's not steal from each other in the world of AI. My reason for saying it's an iteration is because I don't remember exactly how she did it. So it's a version that seems very familiar because it is derived from the work of Byron Katie, and I highly recommend you go do some of that work if this resonates with you. And this might be the formula that works for you too. Here's what we're going to write down. You've got your belief on the page. I can't have the thing that I want because, and after because is your belief. I'm too old, it's too late where I live. And then what I want you to write down directly underneath that belief statement is this question. Is it true? Question mark. Is it true? Write it down. Is it true? Question mark. And as soon as you write the question mark, your first answer, yes or no. Is it true? Yes. Or is it true? No. Don't take a whole lot of time. Don't do 40.6 thoughts about it. Just your first gut instinct. Is it true or is it not true? And as soon as you write down yes or no, so is it true? Question mark. Write the word yes or write the word no. And again, I can't stress this enough. Make it be that initial thought, right? Because we already know we think a whole lot of them in a minute. You could be like, well, it's not, well. Now you're negotiating. Just what do you believe? Yes or no? And then I want you to write the question, are you sure? Are you sure? Question mark. So if your answer was no, and you wrote, are you sure? The answer after that is, well, maybe it is true. So I wrote that it's not true. The phrase belief being, I can't have what I want because of the city that I live in. Is that true? No. Are you sure? Yeah, actually, I am sure because I can do anything in the town that I live in. Other people do it in the town that I live in. And now what you've done is you've flipped the belief on its head and you're starting to rewrite it and challenge yourself into finding out how you can reverse the belief. Now, if you wrote down, I believe that I can't have what I want because of the town that I live in, is that true? Yes, it's true because the people here are crackers. Are you sure? Uh, well, not everybody's crackers. I mean, my wife is kind of cool. Okay, well then now you're starting to put the doubt in it. As soon as you interrupt the belief with other possibilities or with doubt, now what's happened is you recognize that the belief isn't solid. It's Swiss cheese. And the only thing that made it feel, yes, it's true, is the repetitive thought about it, not the awareness and the interruption of it. As soon as you're aware of it, you can interrupt it. If you're not aware it's even happening, there's nothing to interrupt. And so now what you do with this belief that you've now decided is Swiss cheese is you write down, and here's the magic. You write number on your page 1 to 15. And I'm going to actually give you this to do after training today so that you have time and you don't interrupt the process. And this is why that matters. Just trust me on this. You're going to number your page 1 to 15. And your homework after training today, if you should choose to accept the stretch, is to write down, here's a double negative, 15 ways, 15 line items, 15 check boxes of how you know that original belief is not true. It's a double negative. How do I know that belief is not true? How do I know? What body of proof, what bits of evidence do I have that I can't have what I want because of the town that I live in isn't true? How do I know it isn't true? Well, I know it isn't true because my neighbor is successful. I know it isn't true because other people have what I want. I know it isn't true because I was successful at one time in this same town. Whatever bits of evidence you have to poke holes in that belief, not just so much poking holes because we've already done that, but to rewrite the belief with 15 bits of evidence that make it something other than the belief that you wrote as a foundational belief. Here's why it matters to do it all in one sitting. Don't do 7 and then pause and then come back to it. And I mean that sincerely. Your subconscious needs to be interrupted and it needs to be rewritten because you're trying to come up with one thought to write down on your sheet, and it might take you 30 seconds to do that. Meanwhile, your brain's already had 20 thoughts in that 30 seconds because we know that the math says minimum 40.6 thoughts per minute. So if you let a minute go by while you're thinking of one, your brain's already had 40 to convince you otherwise. If you write down 7 that conflict with this belief system, that's literally where the neuroplasticity starts making tracks and laying down seeds. And if what you do with that is you write and then you get to 7 and you're kind of stumped a little bit, and then you go make a cup of tea and then come back to it, or you go see a client, or you're done with training, you're writing right now while I'm talking to you, and then you're going to finish training, but you only got to 7 or 8. What happens then is when you sit down with that piece of paper next time, you're only going to get up to 7 again, and you're not going to actually rewrite that path. You're not going to create a neuroplastic groove in your brain that lays down factual information that means those synapses that fired and wired together actually created a road that you can now drive on. And what you want to do here with rewriting beliefs is you want to create a road that you can ride on, because that belief has only been there because you thought it and drove down that road and thought it and drove down that road and thought it and drove down that road and thought it 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 before you're 60 miles an hour down that road and you don't even realize that that's where you are. In order to intercept that already cement asphalt paved road, I know you don't asphalt over cement, but you know what I mean, an actual road with lines on it, before you got to that paved road, you were on foot, and then you were on 2 wheels, and then you were on 4 wheels, and then it was a dirt road, and then maybe it had some mulch on it, and then maybe someone laid bricks down, and then, right? That's what your brain does with these pathways. It happens fast, but it does have a starting point. So if you want to recreate this paved road of your belief on why you can't have the thing that you want to have, you've got to interrupt that road. You've got to course correct and get yourself on a whole nother road that your brain didn't even realize was a possible road to drive down. So I strongly request that if you want to win at this rewriting beliefs game, that you sit down when you have an uninterrupted period of time. It's not going to take you long, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and just sit with that list until you get all 15 of those pieces of evidence documented. And here's the key. Usually around 6, 7, 8-ish, halfway down that list, is when you'll feel like, well, I can't come up with 15. But that's not true. Is that true? It's not true. Are you sure? I can't come up with 15. Is that true? Well, no, but it doesn't feel like it's possible. Okay, well, just because it doesn't feel like it's possible doesn't mean it's true. So you got to be really aware then of the truth telling, right? The truth serum that we're drizzling over our over our Sunday, and whether it's actual truth or whether we just thought it and then thought it again and felt compelled. Because remember, our limbic system and how we feel about something is tied to the way we think about something. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's a fact. Feelings aren't facts, they're feelings. There's nothing wrong with feelings, but they're not facts. Thoughts aren't even facts. Just because you thought it doesn't mean it's true. And a belief definitely doesn't mean it's true. It's just a bunch of thoughts that might not be true, might not be factual, just being repeated. A belief is just a repetition, it's not necessarily truth. So, what we're looking for here is pieces of evidence, 15 pieces of evidence that even open up the road to be paved. And then what you do with that list of 15 is you read them over and over and over and over. You do that repetition. You force feed in these ideas of no, it's not true that I can't have what I want. Again, it's a double negative on purpose, so it doesn't even make logical sense going in. If it doesn't make logical sense going in, you've got to start thinking about it differently, which creates a different output. Now that's starting to get you somewhere different. That's good news. So it's a double negative. Here is the proof that I have that it's not true that I can't have what I want. 15 of them. You put that list of 15 everywhere you can see it, on the front of your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror, on the front of your laptop, on the back of your cell phone, in a pop-up message on your calendar, and you read that list of 15 like you're reciting your social security number over and over and over and over again until you believe something different about the thing that you want. And it will happen because that's literally using our physiology to create a new belief, which then creates different actions, which then creates a different outcome. How cool is that? You gonna do it, Gary? Gonna do the homework? Yes. Okay, do it. Everybody here, Valerie, Simon, you guys gonna do it? I hope you do it. It's really life-changing. And it, again, give yourself the anticipation that between numbers 6, 7-ish, about the halfway mark on the list, you might feel a block. That's normal. Breathe easy, stay with it, do not distract yourself. Just get to 15. Every once in a while, someone will find that block at like number 3 or 4, and that just means that your subconscious is really trying to prevent you from making this change. That's okay. You're not going to die. You just might feel like you're transforming a little bit. The butterfly doesn't die when it comes out of the cocoon. It just transforms. So it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You got it, Simon? Valerie, you doing it? Valerie's sharing it even. Yeah, share the love. Everybody in your life gets to have what they want. So yes, we're being in service. I will tell you something that matters. I learned this during my coaching training. If there's an outcome that I want for a student that I'm teaching or someone else in my life, a client maybe, if there's an outcome that I want and I'm noticing that they're showing up in a way that I'm recognizing, if I'm honest, I'm also showing up. If they're coming in not believing, I'm probably coming in to something not believing. So when you shift, they will shift. When you do the homework, they'll do the homework. When you write your list of 15, they will want to write their list of 15. But if you're like, I'm not going to do it, I'm just going to watch them do it. They'll be like, yeah, I'll do it later. Thanks for the advice, though. Because you haven't done it, they won't do it. So just notice that. You do you first. You put your oxygen mask on first, and then give it to the people you love so that they feel nourished and supported. And that's how the magic rolls out. Okay, I'm so happy that you guys are going to do this. I can't wait to hear your results if you want to share them, maybe even just how you feel at the end. If you're in the club, of course, you can post that. Everybody in the club is doing the same work at the same time. If you're not yet in the club and this money working has really resonated with you, if you know this is what's next for you in your training, please come get the training for free. The club is open to all new members for 7 days. You can come and take the entire money boot camp if you want to and not even be obligated to stay after that. But if this work resonates with you, come join us in the club. The Money Bootcamp is in there for the entire rest of the month of May, which I know we're coming up to the end. And then in June, we're changing our topic. We're changing our topic here in Tuesday Training, and we're also changing our topic in the club. Every month in the club, there's a revolving coursework that's included in your membership, and also the other extra trainings that are in there. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. So if this resonates with you, please take advantage of it because after June, the Money Bootcamp will not be in the club. It will still be available. You can still purchase it, but then it'll be for purchase on my website, and the price is what the price is. But you can get it now for included in your membership if you want to join us in the club. So please do feel free to join us there. And then, of course, Gary says, great, so valuable. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're finding value there, Gary. Yes. Yay, yay, yay. That's what my intention was, to pour a whole bunch of stuff in there. So it would be silly stupid not to join us in there. I know we're all membershiped at this point, and you gotta use your value and know where you're getting value from. Don't just put money into memberships and tuitions and subscriptions if you're not actually getting a ton of value out of them. So I am a values for value person. I want to give you a ton of value and have you feel like, oh yeah, I got way more than I needed to pay for. That's the point. I do that with you. I do that with my clients. I want you to do that as well so that everybody can feel generous and be in contribution. So all that to say, join us. This is the last week you can get that course included in the membership. And you also, if you haven't been in the club yet, you get a free 7 days to come see if you do believe me that there's good value. And this is a great time to do that because then you'll be here for a whole 7 days, and then next month's content rolls out beginning of June. So you kind of get access to both. So if you're on the fence, you got to pedal fast and study to get it all in, but you'll actually have more in that 7 day trial. And with that, my friends, I bid you adieu for another successful week in the world of bodywork. And I am very much looking forward to seeing you guys all again for Tuesday training. This time, same channel, same station next week. Thank you. Thank you. One last request, please, if you're here, do interact with this video on YouTube. The AI algorithm is spritzing YouTube quite a bit, and they don't even know that we're live and real here. So if you hit a button, you don't have to do anything with it, but if you hit a button, like or share, then the algorithm knows that we're actual people, we're not robots. I learned over the weekend there's robots that are putting comments under videos, and YouTube is now having to siphon through who's a robot and who's a real person. So let's show them that we're real, okay? All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.